Hi guys, welcome to this video. This is a short video on why I think conversion rate optimization programs that are successful aim towards having as many experiments as possible. This is going to be hopefully a short series of videos that I'm going to do over the next coming weeks. So please do like, follow, subscribe, whatever you want to do. And I hope you enjoy this. Uh, Very quick intro. So I'm Oliver Payton. I've been working in optimization, experimentation as a consultant for over 18 years, managed 6,000 experiments, kind of pertinent for this presentation. I believe that no one person knows the right solution to a UX problem, and that's why we do testing. Experiments prove technical solutions more than just the hypothesis. So I think that that's really important in terms of how you test. So it definitely pushes you towards full stack testing as opposed to website testing, where I feel like if you move one website test into your full stack, then there's potential for the code to be completely different. If you're doing things right, then eventually your whole digital team becomes the experimentation team. Experimentation is a process, not a person. So I think that that's a kind of core to my beliefs around experimentation. And then experimentation results, when delivered correctly, are really a gateway drug to an experimentation culture and a data culture. It's so easy to explain A versus B and to senior management. And I think that really helps drive and ingrain a data culture. So enough about me. If you want to look at any more of this, feel free to pause the video. Limited amount of time, so we're going to rattle through this today. So why is volume of experiments a great metric for an experimentation program? Well, the reason I'm talking about this is a few months ago, I went to a conversion conference. There was a company talking about how they were aiming to run as few tests as possible. They didn't want to be one of those companies who throw stuff at the wall to see what sticks. They were claiming a high win rate, and they were doing extensive research into each experiment before they ran it. And they'd only run a handful of tests. And in my view, this just threw up loads and loads of questions. And to me, experimentation is in a way the best form of research. So I really feel like in a way they're missing a trick. Few caveats for today. This isn't a guide on how to achieve volume. I will hopefully do that in the future. Not saying you should test everything. Your testing program and the volume of your tests should fit the context of your business. So if you're running a tiny business with 100 visits, maybe focus on getting more traffic before you start testing. Testing should be strategic and data informed. Volume shouldn't compromise quality or accuracy. And when I say tests, I'm really talking about A/B experiments. So if you don't know what those are, you're probably watching the wrong video, but there's plenty of videos out there on the internet to talk about what A/B testing and optimization testing is. This is more focused on for those that know why you want to go for volume. So this ethos of kind of trying to just test what wins versus testing everything obviously has some belief that you can predict what's going to win, or what's going to win. And yeah, you can get guidance from users, you can get follow best practice. There's some things that are just broken. Yeah, I probably agree, you just want to fix. But here's a great example of why you might want to think about testing everything. So when I was with hotels.com, there was a desire to switch a backend API. So they'd built a new backend, a new platform that was meant to be more modern. But in terms of the data that it provided back to the application, it was meant to be exactly the same. We've convinced the product team to manage it through an A/B test, and it was launched through an A/B test. And after we'd run it a couple of weeks, we were seeing a negative result. We dived into it and we saw that it affected a subset of hotels. And we looked into that and we compared the pages, and we were seeing that there were some details missing. And it turned out that someone somewhere in the development team had missed some details off in the API, or they didn't think that was important, and they made that decision without really telling anyone. And this is a great example of why you probably want to test as much as possible. And sometimes the things you just least expect to make a difference can make a difference. And in that scenario, it could have ended up costing millions if it had gone unnoticed. So here's 5 other reasons why I think experimentation should be attempted at volume. Right, the more you experiment, the less you don't. That seems like an obvious statement. But what I'm really saying there is the higher volume of traffic you get, the higher volume of the changes you are making, you run as experiments, the more likely you are to increment conversion rate over time. I've got an image of Among Us here. If you don't know what it is, it's a game where you're all on a spaceship, and there's a couple of people who are selected as imposters, and their job is to sabotage your work, and everyone else is trying to fix the ship. In a way, it's kind of the same thing, right? There's potential if you've only really spent a lot of effort in selecting 4 or 5 things to test, then there's a high possibility that there's other people on your ship that are doing other stuff that is detracting from that work and potentially having a negative impact on conversion rate. Our tests are not perfect, reason 2. So statistics aren't perfect. 95% significance kind of means that 1 in 20 chance of being incorrect directionally. You can mitigate that by running a high volume of tests. Diversity of experiments. So I always kind of compare running an experimentation program to running an investment program. You are, after all, investing in your time to make optimizations to your website. The most simple way of kind of explaining diversity and portfolio theory in investment is the ice creams and umbrellas analogy. So if you invest in an ice cream company and you invest in an umbrella company, you're always going to make money whatever the weather, right? That's kind of the concept. If in summer when it's hot, people buy ice creams, and in winter when it's cold and rainy, people buy umbrellas. It's not a perfect example, but you kind of get the drift, right? So if you're able to run a wide range of different types of experiments, you might have a pricing test, you might have a proposition test, you might have a order sequencing test of what pages go in what order, you might have some UX and design, you might have some urgency, scarcity, all of these wide range of themes that you might want to try to understand the types of things that work for your specific user set. And achieving that diversity is more likely to make you win, I think, in the longer term. And to do that, you really need a higher volume of tests. After all, as I'm saying, experimentation is an investment, so kind of manage it like one. The need for news. Everybody has someone in their team who is impatient and they don't understand fully the value of statistics that you need to run A/B testing accurately. They will ask you after 2 days, or sometimes even less, how's the test doing? And you guys who know your statistics will obviously tell you that those results in the first 2 days are potentially meaningless, completely down to volatility of your read and how you've assigned your traffic. And you need some time to iron that data out. But on the other hand, senior leadership, they want to see results. They want, really what they want is good news or news, right? And really to get to news, you need statistically significant results. So how can you use volume to your advantage here, or volume of experiments to your advantage? What you can do is just run more experiments. Start them in a staggered format. So let's say you've calculated your average duration of an experiment to 8 weeks. You start a new test or a new experiment every week for 8 weeks. And by that point, if you keep launching one every week, you're on a 1 in, 1 out basis, right? I know it doesn't always pan out like that. You might have to run one longer, or something might go wrong. That's not always going to work, but you get my point. The higher volume, the more frequency you're getting to the point where you're, from a statistics standpoint, ready to communicate your result, and you are able to deliver news in a statistically significant manner, a statistically meaningful manner. Related to this is the kickstart approach. So if you've never run experiments before, what I'm saying here is don't launch 1 or 2 experiments, because the likelihood is you won't get a winner with 1 or 2 experiments. Propose it as a program of experiments. We're going to launch 10 experiments. We don't think all of them are going to win. We want all of them to win. They're designed to win, but by the law of averages, with an average win rate of 40%, we need to run 10 tests, and we'll have 3 or 4 examples of wins. I think that's a really powerful way of kicking off an experimentation program. And the last thing, I've rattled through this, which I'm happy with, because I've recorded it 5 times and every single time I've gone over. This time I think I'll do it. But yeah, the last one is culture, right? So if you start with a small pocket or a small team or a squad and make them into the champions of experimentation, people will see them kicking out lots of results and lots of experiments. They'll make it look easy with your help. And they'll get good news coming out and flowing out after a number of experiments. And other squads, other teams, other product teams, they're going to want to get involved in that. As long as you're communicating it effectively, it's an infectious business. People love simple examples of how you've improved their business, and A/B testing is the best format, one of the best formats of doing that. So again, you'll then you're working off a bit of a competitive environment. You're creating that competition to provide that evidence that you're providing value, and you're kind of not playing teams off in a nice way. You're creating that competition. So in summary, high proportion of your traffic, of your activity through testing, try and aim to increase that proportion. You can never know what's going to be positive or negative. Stats aren't perfect. Diversify your tests, keep your news flowing, and boost the culture of experimentation. Thanks, guys. I've been Oliver Payton. Please like, follow, subscribe, whatever it is that we do these days. And feel free to comment in the boxes below and provide me some feedback. I'm definitely going to run some more videos. And signing out. Have a good weekend. How do I turn this thing off? Why is it like you're talking to no one? Why is it like you're talking to no one?